Greetings, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Mike. I'm with the Million Youth Chess Club, and I'm excited to be here with this virtual chess club. Now, usually we're here at the Southeast Library several times a month on Wednesdays, but with this COVID-19, we're doing things differently. So today I'm going to talk about chess, how each of the 6 pieces move, and a few tips. So stay tuned for Chess Club. Welcome to Chess Club. I'm Mike with the Million Youth Chess Club, and chess is a game of war. You are now the general of the army. The white army or the black army, both are equal. They have the same number of pieces. First, this is a chessboard. It looks like a checkerboard, but the most important thing in a chessboard, you use every single square, white and black. In a checkerboard, you only use the dark squares. Chess is hundreds of years old, and you're going to learn how to play in just a few minutes. The first move we'll talk about is called the rook. It moves in a straight line up and down the board, or a straight line across the board. There is no jumping with the rook. And remember, you are the general of the army. It's your choice, just like life, where you move. So I can move backward, 1 or 2 or 3, or I can move forward. And I could take one piece at a time. No matter what, you can only take one piece at a time in chess, unlike checkers. So if I would take this piece, I could be taken. Again, there's no jumping. I can go up and down the board, as many squares as are possible, or I can go any of these squares across the board. It's my choice. Straight line across the board, any of these squares. Or backward or forward. This is the rook. Straight line up and down or straight line across the board, no jumping. The next piece we're going to talk about today is called the bishop. The bishop moves on the same color diagonal. This one's on white, there's another bishop on black. It always stays on the same color. Backward, 1 or 2, your choice, or forward. Always on the same color. And again, you can only take one piece at a time in chess. Only one piece at a time. And again, no jumping. Backward, forward. Any of these squares, same color. Very simple straight line. Just like the rook, a straight line, but the bishop always stays on its same color. The next piece we're going to talk about is the queen. The queen is the most powerful piece on the board. It moves like a bishop or a rook. Your choice, general. I go backward or forward like a rook across the row. Any of these squares like a rook. Or I can go in the same color like a bishop. Again, I can only take one piece at a time. I don't have to take any pieces, but it's a choice. Backward, forward, or across the row, or same color. This is the queen, the most powerful piece on the board. The next piece is the king. It's the tallest piece and it's the most important piece. The king moves like the queen, but the king is very, very slow. Only moves one square anywhere. Example, go forward, backward, one square, side to side, one square like a rook, or I can go one square, same color, like a bishop. So that's how the queen moves, like a rook or like a bishop is how the queen moves, and the king moves like the queen. The king only moves one square. Now, you can trade or give away all your pieces except the king. The king never leaves the board. Your job, General, is to trap the king somewhere. Here's an example. Let's say the rook goes all the way down here to the last row, and now the rook is attacking the king in this across here. Kapowie. The king cannot jump, no jumping. King can only move one square. The king is now dead, trapped, captured. The game is over. This is called checkmate. And the whole objective to this game is to trap the king. And it doesn't matter how many pieces you have or do not have, as long as you trap the opponent's king, you win. So in this game, black has trapped the king. Black would win this game. The last two pieces are the trickiest pieces. I saved them for last. The only piece that jumps looks like a horse. It's called a knight. And it always goes in the shape of an L. But any which way L, sideways, upside down, reverse, like an L. And it's always the same 4 squares total. This is how I like to explain it. The knight can move 1 and then move 2 in the same direction and then turns either right or left, 1 square. 1, 2, 3, 4 squares, like an L. I can go 1, 2, turn to the right. I can go 1, 2, turn to the left. I can jump over any pieces, white or black. 1, 2, turn. Now, you can only take one piece at a time in chess, and the knight takes only the piece it lands on, not any of the pieces that it jumps over. 1, 2, kapowie. Okay, it would only take the piece it lands on. Now, if I would do that, then I could be taken. Again, the knight moves like an L. 1, 2, turn to the right, or I can go sideways. 1, 2, turn. I can go sideways the other way. 1, 2, turn. I can go backwards. 1, 2, turn. And I only take the piece that I land on. The knight is the only piece that jumps. All the pieces in the back row, all of them, go forward or backward. It's your choice, General. Forward or backward. The last piece is the foot soldier. It's called the pawn. This is a tricky piece. First of all, the pawn only moves forward. It never moves backward. And the first time you move the pawn, whether it's in the beginning of the game or the middle or the end of the game, you can choose to move it to. It's your choice. But again, it's just like life. It's your choice. You can choose only to move it 1. But after the first move, it must be 1. You can't save it up and move 2 later. It's only the very first move. All the pawns have the opportunity to move 2. Now, years ago when soldiers went into battle, they walked into battle and they had a shield and a sword or a club, and they protected themselves with one hand and fought with the other hand. So in chess, it's very different here. A pawn moves forward, but it never takes going forward. It always takes to the same color square. Kapowie, he's dead. Now, there's no jumping. Only the knight jumps. There's no jumping. And we're not playing checkers, so we're not jumping over. We're taking the sword and Kapowie off the board. He's captured in the hospital. While we're talking about the pawns, there is a special move. If a pawn goes all the way down to the last row, at your choice, you can get any piece except the king. But most people get a queen because it's the most powerful. So you can get a queen, that your would be the second queen. And you can get as many queens as you have pawns that reach the final row. You're promoting the pawn. Again, the pawn only moves forward the first time it can move 2. And the pawn only takes to the same color diagonal. So whether it's right or left, it takes the piece and it takes the square. Now, chess, a game of war, any piece can take any other piece. And the king never leaves the board. Now that you know how to move the pieces, there's a few tips I'd like to leave you with. The first tip for the entire game is for you to get control of the center. Just imagine these 4 squares being a bullseye. The most important part of this board is the center, these 4 squares. Do your best to get into the center and get control of the center. The army that controls the center has a much better chance to attack on the left or the right, and a much better chance on keeping the enemy in front of them. It's hard to get around when you're in the front. So do the best you can to get control of the center. The second tip I would always leave my players is to develop the knights first. Get the knights out first, and automatically the knight now is attacking the center. See both those knights? Now they're attacking these 4 squares, attacking and protecting these 4 squares. So it's important to get the knights out first, then followed by the bishops. So these are just suggestions. There's countless options for you, but these are just suggestions. Knights out first, followed by the bishops. The third suggestion is called castling. Now this is a very special move and can only be done once per game. You can castle when the king and the rook have not moved. The king can move 2 squares towards the rook, and then the rook goes on the other side. This is one move. It can only be done once per game, and there are restrictions. Okay? So this is how it looks when you castled successfully. Now, if you have moved the rook, and even if you move it back, you cannot castle with this rook. If you move the king and you move it back, you cannot castle at all. You also can castle on the queen side, and the rule is the same. You move the king 2 squares towards the rook, and the rook goes on the other side. This is castling on the queen side. Finally, it's very important to observe what your opponent is doing at all times and to have a plan and to be patient. I hope that helped. Thanks for enjoying Chess Club with me.